Shooting on the farm was definitely really interesting. There was a lot of nature going on.
I don't think I've ever like swallowed that many bugs before in my life. So that was
a lot of bug swallowing.
It was a lot of bug swallowing.
There were bugs everywhere.
Everybody got attacked by the onslaught of chiggers and ticks.
And the farm itself was just these beautiful views for the Tai Chi scene and the most amazingly perfect tree that we could ever hang Sonny from. The Webster family was just so generous with their time, and they like gave us access to ATVs and volunteered to run their truck to go grab something. Never at any point made us feel like we were putting them out, which was amazing.
The very first thing that happened that day, we got up there and it was hot. I mean, this is middle of August. It was about 100 degrees, and the first thing that happened is they hung Jim Ousley from a tree. Jim was hanging upside down with a bag over his head and a snake crawling down the limb on him. So
there's a snake in this branch here.
There's a snake in the
He went in that hole. He's inside the tree now.
Any concern putting Jim in the tree with the snake in the tree at the same time? And the gerbil? Will the snake eat the gerbil?
Hanging Jim from a tree. Really, the interesting thing was, it was an homage to a Chuck Norris film.
Missing in Action 2?
2.
Yeah, don't be confused.
Not 1 or 3, but 2.
It's Missing in Action 2, and the scene where Chuck Norris is actually lifted up in the tree, and they put a rat. They like agitate a rat, and they put it in this bag, and they put it over his head, and the bag's removed. A bloody bag is removed, and Chuck won.
Chuck wins.
Yeah. An agitated gerbil, which you may not know, is just as or maybe more dangerous than an agitated rat.
Yeah, it wasn't the hanging that was going to be the issue. It wasn't the potential falling and cracking my skull. It was the gerbil. I mean, they're not friendly creatures, man. And when you taunt them, I mean, forget it.
He ate a few hamsters. The only one that lived, they named Norris.
The hamster Norris was trained at the studio, so he's a lot more internal, basically. And the guy, they can be difficult to work with sometimes.
It took a little while to get Norris to talk to me and get that chemistry going, because the guy's been on a few sets, but he was a little bit apprehensive. And I was like, why is he so apprehensive about the stunt? It turns out, he worked with Richard Gere in the past.
It was kind of scary seeing Jim hanging from the tree, because everyone was really stressed out, it seemed like, because they were trying to make sure that Jim was comfortable.
I've tried and tried to install this in our bedroom, but she just won't have it.
How did it feel on your ankles?
It felt fine. I mean, it'll be...
So pressure-wise, does it feel like it's pulling in a certain way that is uncomfortable to you?
No, it just hurts a little bit, but I expected that.
He was upside down for, it seemed like, for about an hour. I mean, guys would come in and they'd lift him up so he wouldn't have to, stay upside down.
He only has a few brain cells left, so if we let all the blood rush to his head, we would have had a lot of problems.
I actually felt really safe. I mean, Monty, the guy who was rigging up the whole thing, he had this elaborate rope pulley system in this huge, beautiful tree. And you look up and it looks like Charlotte's Web.
Not many independent films stop and go, do we have the right team that can actually do this safely?
Hi-ho, I'm Kermit the Frog.
He had this huge contraption, and it was just, there was no way I could have weighed like 5,000 pounds and I wouldn't have dropped on this rope. I mean, there was no safety issue.
I mean, just being able to have somebody up there and who's going to rig all these things properly and know that, we're not just going to sling a rope over a tree and just pull a guy up. It's, I've seen a lot of stunts on other films where things are just done so unsafely, where you literally, you're like, well, we got the shot, but at what expense?
Hanging upside down, paying homage to the great Chuck Norris in Missing in Action 2. It was a lot of fun. I had no problems with it. My ankles will be so happy.
Yeah, but
to get out of this though. The other stuff was really cool, but once you get out to the field, to the training location, that was all the physical stuff. That's when you can really just sort of let loose and have fun.
They were training him to be this super janitor that he's supposed to become.
I'm the sensei, his karate master, who's going to introduce him to the ways of the martial arts, which will really be a stretch because I know nothing about them.
Cut. Let's reset the head. Are you okay, Jim?
You okay?
Yeah, I'm okay.
He's definitely a sweater. He sweats a lot.
Have you ever seen someone sweat this much and have a head as big as mine? It's a dangerous cocktail. I bet you haven't seen that before. I've got a lot of passion for this, and I think that all that passion builds up and it just comes out of sweat.
My favorite scene was the Tai Chi scene, was him and Peter improving these Tai Chi moves and then going into some kind of rock star slow motion.
I have no experience at all with Tai Chi. And I gotta say that by the end of it seemed like we did it for about 20 minutes or so. I'm sure it was only about 3 or 4. But at the end of it, my thighs were about ready to give out. I was about ready to collapse.
It's art, so I'm willing to pay that price.
I've been on quite a few film projects and a lot of sets, and this was really one of the very best I've ever been on.